What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lock and Cash podcast. There is one wild card game left tonight between the Vikings and the Rams, which I'm going to talk about in this video. It's my only bet of the day, so I figured why not make a quick one here and give you guys my pick on it. We can also recap wild card weekend. I will have a separate video for divisional weekend, so if you're just finding the channel, my name is Jeff. This is Lock and Cash Sports. Make sure you subscribe down below. When I post a divisional preview tomorrow, I'm going to break down all 4 games. We'll go in depth. It'll be a little bit longer. Make sure you tune into that. I try to include a lot of useful information in there and give you my takes and my angles on those games. So that'll be up tomorrow. This is for tonight's game. Now over the weekend, we had a great start to the playoffs. The Houston was our big play. It was a 3-unit release. We've only had 4 3-unit releases. Well, actually, now we have 5. We have one for divisional weekend, but we've had 4 so far this season with 3 and 1. Houston was one of them, +3. And I thought the Chargers, it was nice to actually have one of those reads where you felt so strongly about it and it actually comes to fruition, because I just felt like they were so overrated. They feasted on a weak schedule. Houston has been decimated by injuries this season, but played a really tough schedule, still got 10 wins, still won the divisions. I thought there was a lot of value there. I made Houston a pick, and I could even argue that they should have been like a -1. So getting +3 was one of those rare spots. I don't think we're going to get that again, but it was one of those rare spots where I felt comfortable unloading on it. So we get that win. We had the Ravens in a parlay. We didn't play them on the spread, but that game, there's not really much to be said. Pittsburgh was a dead team walking into the playoffs. We had Buffalo, which was a big win, 2-unit win for us on the Bills -8.5. We had the under in the Eagles game, and our one loss was the Buccaneers -3. So that was our one loss to end the weekend. So tonight I have one play on Vikings versus Rams. I just want to talk a little bit about why. First of all, the play is I'm going to be taking the under 47.5. Why I like this play. Think about all those games I just talked about. 5 games, 4 and 1 to the under in wildcard weekend, after a regular season where overs went 54% for the entire season. We saw an increase in offense. We saw an increase in passing. And all that I think that did is take us into the playoffs with slightly inflated totals. And that's what I think happened. Comparing the totals from wildcard weekend this year to last year, drastic difference. They were much lower last year. Even looking ahead to next week, you've got totals in the 50s. The totals are inflated this year because of what happened in the regular season, is my personal opinion. Even the one game that went over, Houston, LA, should have never sniffed an over in that game. It was 6-0 for the longest time. It's 10-6 at the half. Houston gets a touchdown in the last seconds. And you get a pick 6. You get a bunch of turnovers in that game, 4 interceptions. Even Stroud threw a couple of interceptions. There's so much variance in that game, and still it only went over by 2 points. 44 with a total of 42.5. So I could make the argument in my head, all 5 games should have gone. We should be 5-0 to the under right now after a season where nothing but overs cashed. And I think that's going to continue tonight. I think you've got the tragic situation in LA as kind of a distraction for the Rams. They are a veteran team with a good quarterback and head coach, but no doubt a lot of those players are affected by what's going on. They had to move the game. Obviously, that eliminates home field advantage. We're now talking about a neutral field. The Rams, technically should be more comfortable because they play Arizona every single year, so they probably know that stadium well. But nevertheless, it's a neutral field now. And then on the other side, you've got the Vikings, right? And it would have been one thing if the Vikings lost in a normal fashion last week. Maybe you go into Detroit, the Lions are just the better team. They just outplay you. You lose by 3, you lose by 7, whatever. But the way they lost, I think, was so bad for the psyche of Sam Darnold, because it was like he had such a great season and now nobody cares about that. Now everyone's like, his entire season comes down to this game. Whether or not anyone's going to respect that season, whether or not he's going to be back in Minnesota next year. So I think the pressure tonight on Sam Darnold is so heightened because of what happened last week. Like I said, if it was just a regular close loss in a divisional game, you can live with that. The way they lost and the way he played, which was brutal, I think is a bad sign for tonight's offense. Now, they could still win the game, but I just don't think you're going to have this resurgence and a ton, and suddenly it's going to come all the way back. I think that game did some damage last week. So I expect the Vikings to be maybe a little bit more conservative, maybe not take as many shots. And then on the other side, the Rams, we kind of know with Kyron Williams, they give him a lot of burn in the playoffs. They want to run the football. Minnesota's a good rushing defense. They're a great defense overall. They're gonna pressure Stafford. They're gonna blitz. The Rams O-line is good, not great. So I think there's advantageous matchups on both sides and narrative-based things on both sides with Darnold and with the stuff going on in LA. So that kind of all points me to this under. And then the number as well, 47.5, I just think it's a little bit high. You could have a 24-20 game and 24-23 and still cash this bet. So I like this under. I think this game is going to follow the trend of the other wild card games this weekend and come in under the total. I mean, look at the game last night between Tampa and Washington. That was the one game, right? It had a total of 50.5. That was the one game that everybody thought, no way, this game's not a shootout. Tampa's all banged up in the secondary. Washington's defense is overrated. Both teams want to throw the ball. There's going to be explosive plays all over the field. You get a 23-20 final. And it's not like it was a defensive grind, but the point is that the total was inflated. 50.5 is inflated. So I think the same thing is the case tonight. So I'm going to be taking the under 47.5 in this game. All right, guys, good luck if you're tailing. That's it for this video. Like I said, tomorrow we'll have a divisional preview posted once we get the final matchups set and we could take a look at the point spreads. I will have a video, an in-depth video for divisional weekend. I have already released 2 plays for divisional weekend. If you want to join us for the rest of the playoffs, if you're interested in signing up for the service, there's a link down below for a prorated deal to get you through to the Super Bowl. But other than that, let's cash this bet tonight. And thanks for watching, guys. Let's get it.